Welcome everyone to your most favorite series of all time. This one is the Manga Grab Bag number 2. And if you don't know what the Manga Grab Bag number 2 is, it's like the Manga Grab Bag number 1, except for now there's more manga that I don't have enough time to review or just want to get out there for you guys and see if you enjoy them. So I'm actually adding to the list right now because for some reason I just accidentally deleted it. But we're going to talk about 4 manga today, and I originally said 3, but, I break my own rules. Okay? Okay? So we're going to talk about 4 manga, which you can check out right now. One of them is actually a manhwa from the Korea. It's a webtoon, and it's very good. It's one of my favorites, actually. It's probably my favorite manhwa out there right now. So check all these out. Tell me what you think about them. One of them, I know some of you will like if you enjoyed the anime called Blue Gender. That'll be the third anime or manga. Why am I calling it anime? It's manga. I mean, it's the same. It all becomes the same thing anyway if it gets an adaptation, but it doesn't matter. Okay, Manga Grab Bag number 2. Pretend none of that happened. The first anime I want to talk about is called About How If I Die a Discarded Virgin. And I know, first of all, you're going to be like, whoa, SeaTactics, that title is, I don't want to watch that. There we go again. It's not an anime. I don't want to read that. I don't want to put those words into my head and put those pictures with those words into my head because I feel like they're going to be offensive. Well, it's actually not bad at all. It's about this guy who gets killed by his friend, and he returns to the past in his high school years to basically not lose his virginity because he thinks that losing his virginity will have his friend 20 or 10 years in the future when they're 30s will have his friend kill him again. As the story unfolds, you figure out more about that, and it's not exactly what it seems. The title of this manga is kind of misleading. Makes it seem like a slice of life kind of cutesy like joke thing, but it's none of that. It's a really dark drama that deals with death, that deals with the human condition, that deals with a lot of terrible things. We find out through the story that basically our main character wasn't all hunky-dory in his original life. He did a lot of terrible things. For example, I think from my memory he cheated maybe on his own brother with this girl. I can't remember. That was so early and so long ago that I read this, but I'm pretty sure it's his brother's girlfriend, and that kind of starts a spiral of just terribleness for him, and that ultimately leads to his death later on in life. It is a very, very good manga, in my opinion. It's not gonna get 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s from me, but I personally gave this manga a 7 out of 10 over on my anime list. It's very short. It's around 20 chapters. It has a weird ending, admittedly. It's not like a super terrible ending. It's one of those endings where it's supposed to make you think. And there are a lot of problems with this manga. The pacing is kind of strange for a little bit of it. Some of the characters, it just, they don't, I don't know. They try to, it's obvious where they're going. That's what I'll say. And they kind of do like a time skip at the end, and it's kind of jarring, and it doesn't work, I don't think, as much as they probably wanted it to seem. I think it was supposed to be one of those cool moments, like, oh, a time skip, that's awesome, but I didn't feel like there was any resolution, because I felt they just skipped over a bunch of stuff, actually, to be honest. They skipped over a whole summer where nothing really happened, and it was just, those were the problems. That's what I'll say. Those are the noticeable problems. But the manga is really good. It's really well written. It's fairly well paced besides those moments where it's not, of course. The art is very good for it. It's very sharp. I think it's a seinen, maybe, something like that. So it's got that kind of heavy feeling to it in the art. It's very good. I recommend it to all. It's fun. It's a fun read. Number 2 is Aharen-San is Unfathomable. Recommended to me by Raya Sanka, of course. I'm around 15, 16 chapters into this. Started in January of 2017. very way at the beginning of the year. So you got a couple chapters to read through. I don't think it's finished yet. But it's basically, I mean, it's one of those slice of lives where nothing happened. Let's be honest here. But if you read one chapter every now and again, it really works out pretty well. But it's basically about your two quirky high school friends. You got this guy named Rido-kun, who's basically this kind of normal, run-of-the-mill guy. Except for his imagination is a little... His imagination runs wild a little bit with a couple things. And Aharen-San is literally unfathomable. She is really just, honestly, a pretty quirky girl. And she's like super small too. She's super short. She's super tiny. So that adds to her quirkiness. She has this kind of deadpan expression on her face. And once you add her with Rido-kun's imagination running wild, he comes up with some pretty silly things of what's happening. So there's this one great example that I like to give about this series, just to give you an idea of the story, is Aharen-san is looking out the window. It turns out her head is stuck somehow. I forget why. And Rido just thinks that he goes immediately to the worst thing, and is that Aharen-san is ignoring him. But always at the end, it turns out to be something simple, and I think it's just that her shoulder is sore or something like that, and she can't turn her head because it hurts or something like that. But it always leads to something being simple. That's pretty much the formula of this series, is that Rido looks over at the very beginning of the chapter, notices Aharen is doing something strange. His imagination goes wild of just some crazy things, when in reality it's just her being her. It's nothing really crazy. Now, there are some crazy moments in this series, but overall, I think Aharen-san is a fun read. It's not one you're going to want to binge read, because it's going to ruin the feel of it, for sure. Because if you binge read it, you're going to notice that a lot of them are very cookie cutter, and a lot of them kind of follow the same route of Rido noticing something, him freaking out about it, and then at the end it's all good. So yeah, there's a whole lot of repetition, not a whole lot of mixing it up. So be careful with that. Guard your expectations. Only read like a chapter a day, really. But otherwise, it's a very good manga. Check it out. Buy it if it's already out in your native language or near you. Support the official release. The third manga I want to talk about is Mishikagu no Kagister. I only read one chapter of this, but I felt that I should put this out there. I believe this is recommended to me by Rivost, I think it's Rivost, for manga recommendations. So I decided, since you don't really have enough chapters to review it, as there's only one out at the time of this recording, that I'm just going to talk about the first chapter and recommend it to you all and see how you like it. I compare this one to Blue Gender. It follows kind of the same kind of look and identity that Blue Gender has. It has the insects that terrorize the earth, has the weird plot device characters. It's Blue Gender, but I think it could be better than Blue Gender, and I know a lot of people, for some reason, don't like Blue Gender, and that just boggles my mind. It's such a fun anime. But Mishikagu no Kagister is basically about this guy who's kind of like super tough, and he's super lonely, and he's kind of like a Western hero in a lot of ways. And it's in this world where insects have taken over, and I think it's kind of maybe I can't. Once again, it's been a while since I've read some of these manga, but I think there are some disease or something like that, or something that turns humans into these insect-like creatures, and they either have to put them down or something like that. I can't remember. I believe that's what's hinted at. Maybe. That could be what it is. But basically, in the world, it's all destroyed, full of insects, Mad Max kind of thing going on, right? Your main character, he doesn't have emotion, and and they come across this guy who's bloodied. He's dead, but he has this girl in his hands, and this little girl. Actually, she may not be a little girl. She may be like 16 or something like that. Whatever. She's basically the age of the MC, who is, I know for a fact, 17. And of course, I think it's going to be one of those things where they fall in love with each other and something bad has to happen to them. Or there's that good ending where nothing bad happens to them and they destroy the insects and everyone goes back to normal. But this girl, we don't really know a lot about her, and she's a very mysterious kind of character, and we have to... Well, the main character has to deliver her. And that's where The Last of Us comes into play. It's... Now I remember what I was going to say about this manga. This manga is basically The Last of Us in Japan. That's what I'm going to say about it. If you like the first Last of Us, the story, not the game, because no one really... That game was played like a bag of bricks, but the story for The Last of Us, pretty fun. And if you like the story for The Last of Us, Mishikagu no Kagase is The Last of Us. Now, of course, I've only read one chapter, so it could be totally different than The Last of Us, but it's so obvious. It shares so much inspiration from The Last of Us. The fact that the MC has to deliver a girl to some place and keep her safe, well, you know, that's kind of the main plot of the first Last of Us. Last on the list is a manhwa from Korea, a webtoon if you want to call it that. It's exactly what it is, and it's a very, very good one. It's called Bastard. It's about this little boy who basically falls off this building. He's got terrible joints. He will die if he takes enough damage. He can't do many physical things or physical activities. He only has one eye. One of his eyes is glass. I forget what happened to his eye. Maybe it, got destroyed from the fall. He was basically thrown off a building of some sort. I'm inclined to believe a hospital building. But a building anyways. And he doesn't really remember it, but he has nightmares about it. And his father is a serial killer. And he lives with his father, and he's an accomplice. And one day, he's getting beat up by a bunch of kids in his high school. And the new transfer student comes. She, Kyun Yoon is her name. She comes over and she's like, hey, would you stop bullying him? And she takes him to the hospital, and he wakes up in the hospital, and they're like, your father's coming, and he's like, okay. And then Kyun Yoon walks in, and she's like, are you feeling alright? All that stuff? And he's like, leave. Because Kyun Yoon looks similar to his mother. And his father kills people that either look like his mother or has the same kind of looks as Kyun Yoon does. So kind of petite, very pretty face, long straight hair. That's his kind of target to kill people. And so he has to keep her identity a secret. And if he doesn't, his father will find her and basically kill her. So it's basically a father and son story. It's just a little bit different, where his father is a serial killer and he is an accomplice. It's very well paced. It's a very well paced drama. I really like its characters. I really like the father figure character. I think he is just totally sadistic, and I love it. I also like our two main characters. I really like Kyun Yoon. She is a terrific supporting character. She's amazing, and the main character, which I am forgetting the name of, I think it's something June or something like that. Yoon, I don't know. Something like that, something Korean, right? He is very interesting because he has, he can't physically do anything. He's kind of, his body's destroyed, stuff like that. and he meets like a bunch of friends. Like he meets the friends of a rival CEO to his father's company. And he meets his son, who is the one who is bullying him, which I found very interesting. Bastard is just a terrific, well-paced drama with a lot of high stakes. And the stakes are, if he loses, if he doesn't defeat his father, if he doesn't keep this a secret, if he doesn't find a way to solve this problem of his father being a serial killer, Kyun-Yoon will die. And it's a very good romance as well. Obviously, Kyun and the main character, of course. I mean, there's no secret there. It's pretty much the first three chapters. Well, this one's actually called episodes, so it's like the first 3 episodes. But check it out. Bastard's really good, and that's what I want to leave this video on, because it's probably the best one out of this list. I think I gave Bastard an 8 out of 10. I'd probably give Aharen-San, and now this isn't a complete score, but I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. And by the way, I did change my review scoring a little bit to 6 out of 10 is now above average, and 5 out of 10 is of course average. So it's a little bit more fair, a little bit more disparity between 6 and 7. So when I give something a 6 out of 7, it's not like, oh, it's terrible. It's still good. It's above average. So thank you guys for watching this Manga Grab Bag number 2. I hope you join me for the next one. I hope you join me for all these reviews and these great videos coming out this week and next week at the end of the year. We're going to have fun. It's a bunch of the top 10 lists. It's Akemi Ga Kill review. I love y'all. I'll see y'all later. Make sure to support the channel with all you can by giving me hugs. Love ya.